Hey, everybody. Let's get this party started. Let's get this party started, everybody. Welcome, welcome, and welcome again. Hey, everybody. It's Mother Theresa coming to you with Grandstanding. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. That means that it is time for us to grandstand. Listen, if you haven't grabbed your favorite snack and your favorite beverage, which of course mine is water, go ahead and grab it. And let's get settled in for the next 30 minutes of some very interesting and necessary conversation. All right, I think I've given you enough time. Let's get it started. All right, good evening, everybody. This is Mother Theresa here, and it is time to grandstand with Mother Theresa. Listen, on last week, we talked about your invitation being lost in the mail. Or was it really lost in the mail? I think we shared that no, the invitation was not lost in the mail. It's just that you were not invited, and that is okay. That is okay. We were thanking God for not being invited to some of the things that we may see that is posted on Facebook. All right. So tonight I share with you that we're going to talk about what happens when God puts you in the room that you prayed for. Okay. Some of you all have been praying to be invited into certain places. And now that you have been invited into those places, now what? Okay. All right. So you pray for this moment. You ask God to open the door. So now why are you questioning if you actually belong in the room? The room that he prepared for you, the room that he opened just for you, the seat at the table that belongs to you, that has your name on it. It was designed especially for you. So now why are you acting like some people would say, why are you acting brand new? Why are you acting like you don't deserve that seat at the table? Well, let me just tell you, sometimes we can act like that because of a thing that's called impostor syndrome. Sometimes we can have all of the credentials, we can have all of the knowledge, we can have all of those things that make us fit, and we're supposed to be at the table, but sometimes we don't think we belong there. Sometimes we don't think that our value and our worth is worthy to be sitting at the table. So I want to ask you, when have you ever prayed for something and then got it, but then felt like you were nervous about stepping into that situation? I can raise my hand and I can say, yeah, I've prayed for several things. And I was a little bit nervous about stepping into that situation simply because of other things that I didn't maybe feel like I was worthy, or I was judging my worth by the people who were already in the room or the people that were already sitting at the table. And so because of that, I began to doubt who I am, or who God made me to be, or the things that he had put inside of me. So let me just tell you that we all go through it. It's not anything strange. It's not anything that is uncommon. Sometimes we begin to doubt the fact that we actually belong at the table. But guess what? You prayed for it. You asked God to do it. And now that you're at the table, you're acting like, hey, am I supposed to be here at this time? But guess what? Like I said, you are at the right place at the right time. And if you know someone who is walking into a new season, somebody who has just been invited to the table, why don't you go ahead and tag them and tell them, like, say, listen, I need you to join Grandstanding with Mother Theresa, because she's going to be talking about you on tonight, okay? So you're at the table. Now what? We have to know that there is what I call the power of answered prayers. And a lot of times, as I stated, is that we begin to pray for certain things, but yet we get a little bit uncomfortable when that thing comes to pass or when that thing begins to happen, because first of all, sometimes we're not ready. We haven't really fully prepared ourselves for what we have been praying for. And I've been told that, listen, if you're going to take the time to pray for a thing, be ready for when that thing happens. Be prepared for when that thing finally comes to pass, when it is sitting in your lap. You got to be prepared. You got to be ready. And let me just tell you, we don't have time to get ready. We got to stay ready, okay? So we need to be making sure that we are preparing ourselves for the prayers that we have been asking for. I've often said that, listen, you may have a business that's just starting, but you know that you develop you produce a product. And what would happen if all of a sudden you receive an order for 5,000 bottles? I'm just going to say of soul peppers, because I see my daughter is on here. But net, if you received an order for 5,000 bottles of soul peppers, are you ready to deliver? Okay. Now that God has answered the prayers, what are we going to do about it? 1 Corinthians 2:9 says, eyes haven't seen, and I want you all to finish reading that. Okay. We often hear people say that, or hear people at the church say that our gifts will make room for you. Yes, absolutely. But I need you to be prepared. So there are a couple of key things that I want to talk about on tonight. Is that as we have now made it to the table, we've made it to the table, y'all. And some of us had to build our own tables. Some of us had to bring our seats with us, because guess what? They invited us to the table, but they forgot to leave a seat for us. So guess what? We brought our own seats with us, okay? Because we were determined to be at that table. I don't want you to shrink to fit in. I want you to shine, to stand out. And I want to say again, like I said about an impostor, and I used to hear this term quite frequently, and a lot of times you hear it in the educational world, where sometimes people are, they feel like that the positions that they're in, they're not necessarily qualified, and they begin to kind of doubt themselves. But I want you to understand that if you are prepared, and if you have made it to the table, if you've made it to a position that you're in, guess what? A lot of time what happens is that God will qualify you. God will give you every single thing that you need in order for you to be able to operate in that position. Now, sometimes we may get in a position where it may require a certain background, and that background may be a certain certification or a certain degree, or different things, years of experience in a certain field. But you may have none of that, or you may have a little bit of that. But the person who has hired you and put you in that position, they can see the potential that you have. They see the potential that you have to do that job and to do it well. So guess what? They give you an opportunity to do so. I had that same conversation today about being given an opportunity to get the experience when you're just getting out of just going in or entering into the work field. Somebody has to take a chance on you. Somebody has to give you an opportunity to get that experience. So let me just say it again. You're not an imposter. You are there because God has placed you there. God, they didn't just give you the seat. God positioned you for the seat. And when you get in the seat, this is one thing that I need you all to understand. Oh, thank you, Ned. Thank you so very much. I'm glowing. Okay. 61 looks good on me, huh? All right. Thank you, Ned. Okay. So let me get back to topic. Bring the fruit, not just the fire. And when I'm saying that, when you get to the table, you all, when you get to the place where the door has been opened for you, now, a lot of times we come in there and we're so excited. Oh, we're ready to work. We're ready to do. We're excited about everything. So we come in there, we're on fire. We're on fire. But guess what? You cannot just bring the fire and you don't have the fruit. And when I say the fruit, that means that you've got to go in there. You've got to go in there ready to produce. If I hired you to do a certain thing, yes, you may have that fire burning deep within your spirit. But if you can't fulfill the duties and the obligation that I've hired you to do, you're just zealous. You're just on fire, but you cannot produce anything. And all that fire is going to do is it's going to burn itself out. It's going to burn itself out, and you're not going to be able to do what I've asked you to do or the job that you have been hired to do. So don't go in there trying to impress anybody. Don't go in there just trying to you're excited, but you got to go in there ready to work. You got to go in there ready to work. Hello there, Miracle. You're going to have to tell us about the your cooking experience for Big Mama, for Mimo on yesterday. Thank you so very much, Miracle. I definitely appreciate you taking care of Mama. The other thing I want you all to understand is that you've got to be able to produce. You've got to be able to fulfill the need for you being at the table. Again, like I said, coming in there being on fire, coming in there ready to work, but you've got to produce, okay? And that's just simple. When a person hires you to do a job, they expect some results. You can come in there and you can be all whatever, but you got to bring the results. And then the other thing, again, like I said, you can come in there on fire and everything. Stay humble, but stay ready. Okay? Stay humble, but stay ready to work. Stay ready to prove that you are worthy. Because again, like I said, God positioned you to be at the table. Now you've got to stay ready, but you got to stay humble. Sometimes we can make it to a certain point in life, and I've seen this recently too, is that we can get to a certain point in our lives where we feel like we have finally arrived, or we've reached a what we called a pinnacle of success. And so, oh, hello there, Eb. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you're here. She says, hey, grandstanders. Sounding like your mama. Hey, grandstanders. So, again, you can get to a point where you have reached a stage in your life where you finally feel like you have arrived. But guess what? The same way that you arrived at that position, if you are not careful, then just as easily as you were able to climb and get there, you can easily fall. But the other thing is, like I said, is stay humble, because sometimes what happens, you all, is that we get to a certain point and then it all becomes about us. It becomes like, look what I've done. Look what I've accomplished. Like what you used to say, you begin to start popping your collar. You get in self, and you forget that, hey, had God not positioned you to be in that place, you wouldn't be in that place. So stay humble when you get there, and don't forget the people. Don't forget the people who help you to get to that place. Please don't forget the people to help you to get to that place. Let me see what Miracle said. She said, it was great, Aunt Theresa. I was nervous because I had never barbecued or grilled with charcoal before, but it turned out great. Thank you so very much. Listen, as long as Mama enjoyed her dinner, then that's all that matters, Miracle. That's all that matters. And thank you for the pictures. I got them, and I need to let. First of all, where is Mama? Is Mama on here tonight? Don't tell me she fell asleep. Somebody call and check on Mama and make sure she's on here for the night. Yes, stay humble. Stay humble. And let me just tell you, I know I'm not the only one who have seen somebody who has come up, and when they come up, they don't know who you are. They don't know who you are. They can't remember that, hey, they used to have to beg and borrow and do all of this kind of stuff. And all of those different types of things. Y'all, people forget really quickly where they come from. People forget the struggle. People forget that, hey, I haven't always been in this position. People forget that I haven't always had a seat at this table. And so because they forget, a lot of times they go in and they mess it up. Okay? Mimo had so much faith in me. I know she did, Miracle. I know she did, because she told me she was going to call you, and she was going to, and that you were going to be able to do exactly what she needed. And see, that's what I'm talking about, you all having a seat at the table, because guess what? Miracle just didn't walk into that. Miracle just didn't walk into Mama having so much faith in her. Miracle had to earn that. Okay, now we're talking about Miss Eigner, y'all. Miracle had to earn that. And if Mama did not trust that Miracle could do what she was asking her to do, or what she needed her to do, she would have asked somebody else. But she asked you that, Miracle, because she had faith that you were able to accomplish the thing that she needed accomplished. And so when I talk about bringing the fruit, not just the fire, so you brought the fruit. You brought the evidence that, hey, what you were expecting of me, I can deliver. And you did just that, okay? So guess what? When you can deliver what a person has expected or hired you to do, then guess what? You walk in there like, hey, I'm not an imposter. I belong in the place. Never forget your struggle. You're exactly right, Ned. Ebony, it's so shocking that you were speaking about a job, because I'm currently transitioning into a different career path, and I honestly don't know how to feel about it. Bittersweet. Listen, Ebony, I'm going to tell you, when God starts transitioning you to a place that you have prayed for, and that's what I'm talking about. You have prayed for something, and now you're in the room. You walk in it and you own it. You walk in it and you own it, because if you have prayed for it and God is now transitioning you to that thing, yes, we can be a little bit frightful. We can be a little bit bittersweet about this whole situation. But I'm going to tell you, every experience that we go through, God is preparing us for the next phase of our journey. So sometimes we can stay in a place and it's just like, oh, I'm comfortable here. You know, I'm real comfortable here. I can do this job with my eyes closed. But then when we have a desire to do something different, when we have a desire to go to elevate, then sometimes because there's a little fear. And Ebony, before you got on, I talked about the impostor syndrome. We can have a little bit of fear of being able to move into a place, especially if it's a place that we're unfamiliar with, that unfamiliar territory. Sometimes we begin to doubt ourselves and say, can I really do this? Am I really worthy? Am I ready to do this? And I will say, if you've prayed for it, and if God is delivering you, if God is giving you the opportunity to walk in it, baby, walk in there boldly. Walk in there, like I said, like you own it, okay? And if you walk in there like you own it, guess what? The people around you, they're going to step back and look at that confidence and say, hey, this young lady belongs here, okay? You may be a little bit timid and a little bit afraid on the inside, but guess what? You pray and you ask God to help you. You pray and you ask God to give you that holy boldness, because he is answering your prayer. And the thing about it is that A lot of times when we are making transitions, guess what? Our voice or your voice, Ebony, is needed in the room. And we're talking about, being able to walk into a space that you've been praying for. I often say, and I said this today, that there are places that we're going to need to be placed where we're going to need to deposit some things, and then we're going to have to receive some things. So guess what? You're there for twofold. Somebody is waiting for you, Ebony, wherever you may be transitioning to. Somebody is waiting for you because there is something that you need to deposit into their lives. But guess what? On the same token, there is somebody there that needs to deposit something into your life. So you're going there to give and to receive. And I want you all to understand that any situation that you're in, first of all, it's only temporary. And I saw your tattoo. It's only temporary, okay? That when we are going through the different seasons in life, our seasons in our lives are temporary. They change, and that's by design, okay? We don't want to stay in a place too long where we get complacent. We've got to move. And when God gives us an opportunity to move, guess what? We move. And because those situations are temporary, there are going to be some doors that are going to close. And sometimes those doors close unexpectedly, or so it seems to be unexpectedly. But see, the thing about it is that I have found out that those doors are not necessarily closing unexpectedly. God had given it a time stamp. He just didn't tell us the time stamp. He didn't tell us that, hey, in 4 years, 28 days, 39 seconds, your time is going to be up at that particular place. And I'm going to need you to go somewhere else that I need you to be. So that's the way God operates. He doesn't give us a clear picture of the things that's going to happen in our lives. But I was sharing with Serenity about a deja vu. And some people don't believe this. Some people don't believe that God gives us glimpses of our future. Now, I'm one. I believe that. Now, Serenity, bless her heart. I love these, is it Gen X kids or whatever generation they are, where she was saying that she thought that our dreams is our entertainment for the night while we were sleeping. And I said, Lord, help my granddaughter. I said, these microwave kids, these Gen X kids, see, they're always on. There's always got to be something that's entertaining them. So her thoughts were, hey, even while I sleep, God is giving me entertainment in the form of dreams. Okay. I said, well, that's one way to think about it, Serenity. I've never heard it like that. Maybe that's the case. I choose to believe that a lot of times that when we are sleeping, if we go to sleep with certain things on our mind, that God gives us answers to how to solve problems when we are sleeping. But he also, I believe, this is just me, okay? This is Mother Thresa 101. I believe that he gives us a glimpse of the things that's going to happen in our lives. Because how many of you all have ever had a moment in your life where you say, oh my goodness, this has happened before. I've seen this. I've experienced this. How did you experience that? If it has never happened before, how can you know exactly what's going to happen in that moment? I tend to believe that that's a deja vu, and I tend to believe that God gives us glimpses while we were sleeping, okay? So anyway, yes, a timestamp, honey, timestamp. So again, your voice is needed in the room. Your voice is needed in every single room that God places you in. And when he places you in that room, please do not miss your opportunity for your voice to be heard. Because if you miss that opportunity, sometimes God will give us another opportunity, especially if we know, hey, we gotta say this, we gotta do this, And I have been in that space where I missed it the first time. where I knew I was supposed to say something. I knew I was supposed to do that something. Hello there, Sister Sherry. So good. So glad to have you on tonight. I knew I was supposed to do something, and I allowed my fear to overshadow me knowing that that's what I was supposed to do. So guess what? I let that moment pass, and I realized that, and it was like it was such a burden on me to make sure that I prayed and I asked God, God, give me another chance. Give me another opportunity so I can do what I know I was supposed to do. And do you not know that God gave me another opportunity for me to be able to do what I should have done the very first time? And when I was able to accomplish that, when I was able to do that, it was like a burden had been lifted off of me because I did what God needed me to do. I allowed my voice to be that was needed in the room. I allowed my voice to do what it was necessary. And guess what? We're not there to blend in, by any means. Ebony, as I was saying, you're not there to be blend in. You're there to build something. You're there to do whatever the thing is that God wants you to do. Okay? He didn't just open up the door for us to just kind of, just to be there. He opened up the door and he equipped us for the very thing we need for us to be effective in that place. And I ask you all again, what's one room that God has recently opened up for you? What is one area that for without a shadow of a doubt that he has opened that thing up for you and that you're walking into it now? And when I say now, that you are experiencing that thing right now. Yes, I definitely believe that. All right, Eb. And you know that you're walking into a season. And and let me just tell you, you can tell when the seasons are changing, just like the natural seasons as they begin to change. And I love this analogy, is when the natural seasons begin to change, you change as well. When you're going from the winter to the spring, to the summer, to the fall, a lot of times what happens is your attire changes. So you have to wear a jacket or maybe a coat in the wintertime. But guess what? During the summertime, you put away those jackets. You put away those coats. Now, if you're like my son and a lot of other young men, you're going to wear a hoodie and a sweatshirt all year long. You may have the hoodie and the sweatshirt on with a pair of shorts and a pair of Crocs. Seasons really don't matter for some young men, for some people. And but that's just the way that they dress. But typically, you will not put on a bathing suit during the wintertime. You're going to change. So when the seasons begin to change in our lives, we can recognize by the temperature outside that we need to do something different, okay? And so that's the natural thing, of the physical. But then when the seasons begin to change in our lives in other areas as well, whether it be spiritually, whether it be financially, emotionally, we're going to act accordingly, okay? We're going to act accordingly. And, in the spiritual sense, if you feel like you're not as close to God as you used to be or that you want to be, so that's a change in your season. That means that you need to do something about it. That means you need to do something about it. And so, of course, my time is over. My time is over. Seems like this time goes so fast, everybody. But I want you to know that if you've ever felt unworthy of the things that you have prayed about, I want you to stop it, okay? Because this is my thing is, if you're going to take the time to pray about a thing, make sure it's something that you want. Because let me just tell you, the God that I serve, he answers prayers. And so if you don't want it, don't pray for it, okay? If you don't expect it to happen, then don't pray for it. Because when we are praying, we've got to believe that what we are praying for is going to come to pass. So if you're not wanting it, if you're not willing to have that seat at the table, that's what we're talking about. If you're not ready to go into that room, if you're not prepared, then that's okay. Get yourself prepared. Okay? Then start praying and asking God to open up those doors. And when you get into the room, praise God for it. Praise God for it. And let me just tell you another thing. You don't have to explain how you got in the room, why you got into the room. Guess what? That's between you and God. You don't need to explain to anybody why you're sitting at the table, why you had to bring your own chair sometimes to the table. You don't need to apologize. You don't need to explain. You don't need to apologize. You don't need people questioning you whether you belong or not. If God put you in that room, guess what? I need you to stand on it. It is so important that you stand on what God has done for you. Now, as I close on tonight, I want to declare a couple of things. I want to declare boldness over your life, that you will not shrink in this season, that you will rise, lead, speak, and walk like the person God called you to be, because this is the room that you prayed for. And guess what? You all are ready to walk in. Okay? All right, everybody, listen, this has been really good to me, and I hope that it has been good to you. This has been a topic that I said I was going to talk about on last week, about when God puts you in the room that you prayed for, especially after you didn't get the invitation that you thought you were supposed to have. All right, now you're in the room. Now you've got the invitation. Now what you going to do with it? Now what you going to do with it? All right, everybody, listen, it's been good on tonight. And as I often close out and say, everybody, first of all, thank you all so much for joining me on tonight. Please share this. Please repost it. Please put it on your social media sites. Share it with somebody else who is now walking into a new season in their life. Share it with somebody who is now sitting at a new table. And also share it with somebody who you know that is wanting to be in a different space, but maybe they don't have the courage to step out on faith, to make that first bold step. Share it with them and just tell them, listen, if you need me to walk with you, if you need me to stand in agreement with you, I am here. Because guess what? We are not on an island. We cannot live and do this thing all by ourselves. So we're going to stand in the gap, and we're going to hold space for our brothers and sisters. And we're just going to make it happen for everybody. Because guess what? If I go up, you go up. All right? All right, everybody. So as my sister Cynthia says, good night, grandstanders. I hope that this has been good for you. And listen, share it with somebody. And I will see you on next week, everybody. Y'all see my shirt? Thank you, Ebony. Thank you so much, Ebony. I need you here every week, okay? I need you here every week if you possibly can. All right, good night, grandstanders. We'll see you next week.